Click Clock Wood, hey? Well, I guess this will be fun, right? Especially noticeable that we can able to actually just to experience the uniquest part about this world. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64/Xbox Live Arcade from the likes of the Xbox 360, Xbox One, also on the rare replay compilation game, and also same applies to the forms of Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X, well, at least depending on what specific consoles you'd be playing. So, yeah, last time we actually did manage to win traversing through one of my least favorite worlds in the game, which appears to be Rusty Bucket Bay, because you know, with that infamous engine section, because aside from that, you know, it surprisingly did took me 2 attempts. But today for this episode is the fact that we actually going to be hit onto the forms of the final world before we're going to be able to take on Gruntilda, and hopefully we'll try to save Banjo's sister, which is of course Tooty. And because of this though, we're going to be hit on to probably my favorite world in the game, which appears to be Click Clock Wood. And because of this though, this is perhaps one of the hugest worlds that we can able to traverse through. Not only because of how the fact that, well, as you can tell, this world is heavily based off seasons. Like, for instance, the first switch we actually going to be activating is actually based off from spring. And then eventually, whenever you come across into those season switches, then you would able to traverse through the exact same. All of the actual environments, depending on what seasons you go to, plays out exactly the same, aside from different scenery and all that stuff. Like, for instance, in spring, basically, everything else is all bright and colorful and everything, and while at it, it was actually quite raining in the process. But whenever we get onto the summer section, that's, well, you definitely know why whenever we get into that specific stuff, so I digress. So, and as I said this before, this place is going to be huge as far as the actual worlds are concerned, and because of that though, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on backtracking between, you know, different seasons or anything else to be more specific. So, hopefully we'll have some fun on this world, because I will say that as far as the actual world itself, based off from seasons, as I said before, this is overall is my favorite world in the entire game, and I think it's a perfect way to able to actually end off the actual world selection in the entirety of Banjo-Kazooie, because as a result, that why can't any other games to be like that? Well, in terms of the forms of season-based worlds, I know that The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons already done that by the forms of that one specific mechanic, but that was on the Game Boy Color. But aside from that, why can't any other, like, any 3D platformers or 2D side-scrolling platformers might able to actually have seasonal-based worlds? I know that, well, as far as I can tell, that technically newer Super Mario Bros. Wii did already done that in 2013, but it's just more accurately like a ROM hack or something. Well, at least as far as you can able to actually can tell from that point. But, yeah, you probably get the idea about that specific topic worth noting for. So because of this though, yeah, today's day is of course the 29th of May today, in this case in 2021. Excuse me, I'm really sorry about this point, folks, because I know I keep on belching all the time, because I know it's incredibly gross and all that stuff, but aside from that, just eating some usual chili dogs every once in a while. But I digress. So, yeah, we only got about 3 days to go until specifically we're going to be moving on to the next big month, or to be more specifically, the hugest month of the year, which is of course June. So because of that though, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Are you excited for June? Because I'm sure most of you already know about this already, which I don't think I can able to discuss on this point right now, just because, well, I've already explained this well enough. Especially noticeable when it comes to accurately hyped about E3 and everything. So, speaking of E3 though, we got exactly 2 weeks left until, well, E3 presentation. Specifically, every single game companies out there, like, for instance, Nintendo, Sega, and you probably name the rest. But, the only one exception being the forms of Konami, as well as Sony, because unfortunately those companies might able to actually skip over for those E3 announcements, sadly. But either way though, it knows what it is for the most part, so yeah, anyway, let's just go ahead and keep on moving. And for the majority of the time, for the sake of this world anyway, sometimes we're going to be able to actually just to climb up to this huge tree, as you can see on screen. Because of this though, we're gonna have to do this like 4 times in a row, because obviously we're all season based and everything. So because of this though, yeah, this is gonna be a lot of those emphasis on climbing onto things. Well, to be more specifically, navigating for the entire tree itself. So because of that though, yeah, there's gonna be quite a few events here and there based off of what season you're able to go into. But of course you do need to able to activate all of those season switches before you're able to experience everything. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, yeah, you get the yeah, I just have no idea why I say things like that, weirdly enough. But that's only because it has been quite a while since I actually did manage to done some of my commentary here and there. But, aside from that, not much else to tell. So, anyway, let's just go ahead and, be very careful not to fall off, because there's some really good chance that you might able to fall off and die occasionally. Most notably because if you accidentally fall off into the actual tree, the tallest tree in the world, basically you do need to able to actually not only take your health down tremendously if you fall from the highest height, but also get this, is that you have to do the entire climb-a-thon all over again. Completely fills the brim with the forms of a lot of, you know, bird-like enemies pop out of these holes. You know, kind of like similar to those little dangerous munchy-looking, monsters, as you noticed ever since in Rusty Bucket Bay. But thankfully, the damage output wasn't nearly as high as the forms of those other, monsters here and there. So because of that though, well, ever since in Rusty Bucket Bay, and even in forms of Mad Monster Mansion, and heck, even with the forms of Clonker's Cavern as well, so... But anyway, let's go ahead and hatch this egg open, and basically they'll able to bring us the mighty eagle. Just managed to able to come out of the egg, but somehow he needs some rest for a while. But it wasn't until whenever we get into the next season, which appears to be by the forms of the summer season section, this is where we might able to come across into another one of those important collectibles. Well, it usually becomes a little bit more optional if you're trying to go after them all, but we're not going to mention a bit more of that, more about that until whenever we continue our progression for the sake of time. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and use these gold feathers to able to actually go through these little swinging looking weird objects again, ever since in the Grand Tortoise Lair and also Clonker's Cavern. But hey, at least on the upside is though, is that the Jiggy itself is actually pretty easy to obtain. You just get out to able to pull out with a lot of like well-timing backflip jumps occasionally, but aside from that, not much else to tell. So either way though, what is up with this weird camera angles all of a sudden? But I know— oh no! Ah, I was hoping I can get that green Jinjo, but thankfully there was actually their final transformation in the whole entire game, which I might able to actually save that for later. So because of that though, we need to able to do a lot of things first. So, and of course we can't do anything for this little particular boulder over there, because otherwise that we need something a bit more dried up, and especially noticeable just trying to do it on foot or on land to able to actually just trying to able to, well, you see what I mean whenever we get on to the next season section. So because of this though, yeah, let me know in the comments below as well. What is your favorite Banjo-Kazooie level? Is it either Glick Clockwood for its unique style, or if you like Treasure Trove Cove just because of the music and everything, or heck, even with the forms of Rusty Bucket Bay. Oh no, I'm just kidding, because that level just managed able to frustrate a lot of people, especially on the engine room. So, in fact, another one of those questions I like to ask for is that, what's your least favorite level in Banjo-Kazooie? Although I'm pretty sure most people already know what I'm talking about, or most people already know what they're gonna talk about, is of course Rusty Bucket Bay. So because of that though, and I do apologize again with the forms of that strong language I actually used from yesterday's video, just because I just simply cannot even believe I got screwed over. But thankfully for today, that doesn't seem the case at all. So because of that though, I promise you guys, I'm not gonna able to do that, because I might as well get demonetized for everything. So, But let's not let that happen though. So anyway, and as you can see, we need to grab these all kinds of caterpillars, as you can see. Oh, really? You're not gonna let me activate that autumn switch down there? But thankfully we did manage to activate that anyway, so at least that's short something, so anyways, now we can able to actually do a lot more stuff down there, and because of that, we need to bust out this boulder over there, because that particular nutter just really want to able to actually go into, or a beaver, as far as I like to call them, and because of that though, he will go inside. So because of that though, yeah, it's important you need to double check in here, because otherwise if you don't double check in here, then you're pretty much gonna able to do a lot of backtracking moments here and there, but at least for the sake of time is the fact that, obviously if you couldn't tell from the forms of the time length video for this part, this is going to be by far the longest video we ever going to be doing with, because obviously with, you know, this world has been huge and everything, so, oh gosh, I'm going to have to avoid those bees. But, hey, at least we got ourselves, Golby the camel again, ever since any forms of, Golby's Valley. So yeah, that seems pretty awesome, all things considered. And because the reason why we did manage able to plant up the flower from the likes of spring season, and because of that though, we can able to actually just well, if we get into the forms of, well, we've already done it from the likes of the summer season, but whenever we get into the forms of the autumn season section, that we do need to water up the huge flower, and because of that though, I think that might actually give us another Jiggy. So, in fact, relatively speaking, is the fact that speaking of Jinjos, along with the forms of, drat, I just got hit multiple times by those brambles. But thankfully, there's actually those boots you can able to use. Oh, by the way, this might be the only world to able to feature not 1, but 4 Mumbo huts. But the catch is, though, is that depending on what season you're about to be entering into, sometimes Mumbo does manage to able to do something completely different, depending on what season they might as well interact with. Like, for instance, as you can see, we can't transform into another transformation at the Mumbo's hut on the summer season section, because he found this place to be really hot. And same applies to the forms of the autumn season section, which again we'll get to that sooner or later. But for now on though, I just need to double check if there are some parts I'm missing on, but thankfully that does not seem the case for me, so I guess we should probably continue our progression here. And then we need to ground pound here to go inside this little beehive right here. And before we able to get ourselves the next Jiggy, here we have, let's just say, the next boss fight, which appears to be, well, some sort of like a, well, a whole bunch of Zumbos, which is basically it's like a beast that we need to take down. So, yeah, that might be the last enemy endurance kind of run. Well, it wasn't until whenever we get onto towards at the very end of the game that we will come across into rare occasions that we have to do an enemy rush kind of section, but then again we'll talk more about that until where we get to tomorrow. So because of this though, because obviously yet again I've already said this before, just really want to get this Let's Play finished before we move on to the next Banjo-Kazooie kind of series of games, which spoiler alert, it will be Banjo-Tooie. And once I've done with Banjo-Tooie, we can hit on to the Game Boy Advance game, which is Grunty's Revenge. And as far as nuts and bolts, as far as I'm concerned, well, I wasn't really sure about that game though, just because, well, I just have no words to say about nuts and bolts, because I've already said this before. Definitely is one of the weakest of the Banjo-Kazooie games in my opinion, just because it's a completely different gameplay style. But usually that's has been the case. But anyway, let's not talk about that right now, because let's go dive right here and try to ground pound at that little bird, trying to able to come out of the hole and get what else? Another Jiggy. So, in fact, this will be the final world to able to feature Jiggies. So because of this though, and also say applies to the forms of those musical notes. So because of this though, we can able to expect that we've pretty much almost done with all these collectibles that we can able to, well, obtain from. So yeah, we're actually getting pretty close. So anyway, also I really do love the music in the Click Clockwork, at least depending on what seasons you go into, because it's all like, well, quite cheery and everything, which as a result, then I just simply can't stress enough about the fact that this is one of the most uniquest worlds ever, which I'm saying that a lot. So anyways though, let's go ahead and double check in this little squirrel's house right here, which I don't think there's anything in here aside from just red feathers in general, which I was able to actually just to save those up whenever we get onto the final season section, which appears to be by the forms of the winter season, but that won't be for a while. So because of this though, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of emphasis on exploration around here, so which I don't mind, so. But anyway though, let's go ahead and just grab some more musical notes here, and oh, by the way, you need to be very careful of certain enemies, because otherwise, if you manage to able to think that you've almost nearly at the edge of, you know, when if you get to the highest level where it comes to forms of climbing onto the tree or something, or navigating for the tree, I should say. Basically, though, is the fact that the only irritating thing about this is, I've already mentioned about this before, ever since in yesterday, that obviously because of knockback has already become a thing in retro video games nowadays, but either way though, let's not worry about that right now, because as you can see, I managed to feed the actual mighty eagle 5 caterpillars, and the more you're able to feed him, then basically you would able to actually have some sleep, and we'll meet up with him again until specifically the autumn season, and yeah, that's how it goes basically. So and I think you do need to able to collect about a maximum of, well, let's just say 15 caterpillars, because I say 15 because we already got 5 caterpillars in the well, the summer oh god, okay. Whew. That was actually really dang close. But thankfully though, that I don't seem to have that much frustrations here and there. The only time it's kind of tricky is just the amount of timing you have to deal with all the jumps and everything, which that'll be the only hardest part about this world. But aside from that, yeah, there's not much else to say. But if I recall correctly, even though it's no longer in our channel anymore, that I'm pretty sure that both Twilight Sparkle, along with Daffy Duck, somehow they managed to able to actually got themselves confused at first. But thankfully though, in the forms of this year and onwards, I pretty much exactly know where the actual locations are. So because of this though, well, unfortunately though, I don't seem to have that luck when it comes to able to actually find those, you know, Jinjos so far. And yeah, here's the actual, well, the baby eagle right there, and he does need 10 caterpillars, so we need to feed 10 caterpillars for him. So because of that though, before we get into the actual caterpillar farming, we'll try to go ahead and just, well, trying to able to actually just to find, well, just anything else specifically like musical notes, and also Jinjos eventually, if we're about to find one, and yeah, you name the rest. And I get the feeling that since we actually did already taken down the actual boulder from the likes of the summer season section, that means, yes, I can able to actually now able to actually go into that little beaver's house down there, but to do that I need to able to take a bit of a underwater swimming. But before we get into that, I need to just basically just focusing on musical notes to collect, and yeah, you probably get the idea about that. Whenever I managed the first time I played this game on the N64 version, that's usually for trying to 100% for everything, honestly, it did actually took me about an hour in order to able to 100% for everything on the N64 version, because I keep dying a lot due to knockback, and also because of these, you know, well-timing jumps with these little, you know, trying to get rid of those little birds coming out of the holes, and now that will also give me a knockback. And also try to explore for everything, even if the actual, the musical note placements is resetting, it's always kind of aggravating, but again, it's being fixed on the forms of the HD ports of the game, so that way you can make your experience a bit easier and such. But usually I think most people seem to kind of prefer the challenge, which I don't mind it. But unlike Banjo-Tooie though, that I'm pretty darn sure that you might as well able to keep your musical notes at all times. But then again though, yeah, it's been a while since I actually did manage to play Banjo-Tooie, of course, so... But anyways, that's pretty much about it when it comes to able to feeding more water to this little huge flower, and because of that, yep, the Jiggy is actually at the very top. But I don't think we can able to actually grab it from up there, because there's no way we can climb up, so... That's fine, because even then though, we got ourselves the forms of the stack of leaves that we can able to actually just navigate through, or the stack of autumn leaves, as far as I'm concerned, able to make our way through several sections worth noting for, and it's important that we need to double check on every single Mumbo's hut occasionally, because there are some collectibles here and there, like those musical notes here. And I think we actually got plenty of those Mumble tokens as it is, like we got about 37, so that might be enough, because obviously if you couldn't tell, the amount of requirements when it comes to able to actually get the final transformation in a game is by simply we need to collect about 25 Mumbo tokens, so yeah, that might be something to keep that in mind, especially if you have a first time playing a game. Then I'm gonna have to remind you about the forms of the amount of, well, Mumble tokens that you have to collect. So, oh yeah, there are a few rare occasions where basically that, unfortunately, I've almost running low in terms of those gold feathers, because with this Venus flytraps, as you can see, sometimes they manage to got themselves musical notes in them. So yeah, it's important that we need to use the gold feathers in order to able to... Well, just trying to able to obtain those musical notes from here, so, and I think you have to do that twice, by the way, so, yeah, one of them is actually the one I just did done right there, and, you can also just try to do for that Venus flytrap over there, but, honestly, I'm just gonna go for a bit of a hardcore way by, trying to able to ignore him, and, also, I need to be very careful not to screw this up. Okay, there we go, that should be alright. So, yeah, there's not much else to tell when it comes to the forms of how this world plays out. It's actually very unique, as I said before, and I think we only got about 3 more caterpillars left until we are basically done collecting those caterpillars, because until whenever we get onto the winter season and the final season section throughout the whole entire world, then again, we'll talk more about that when we get into it. So anyways, let's hit into the forms of the actual Beehive again, and because of that, we need to grab 4 musical notes on that section, so there's not much right to home about aside from that caterpillar that we can able to obtain. So I think we are down to 1 left until we're able to get enough caterpillars to able to actually feed the actual baby eagle by, well, just trying to make them grow into size, so... Yeah, that pretty much stepped up is from that sake of time right there. But anyway, though, again, there's not much else I can talk about, because either way, though, we're actually getting pretty much almost nearly at the end of May, and I'm sure enough we can able to actually finish this Let's Play. Unfortunately, not any forms of the end of May, but rather at the beginning of June, because obviously that we do need to take care of, well, other things first, so... Anyways, here's another Jiggy right there. It's important that we do need to obtain that in the autumn season, just because, well, obviously that, well, as you can tell, that the actual, the house itself is being fully built. So, either way though, because unlike, spring or, summer season sections, basically it's the fact that the actual, the house itself is incomplete. So I don't think there's anything else you can guarantee to able to obtain that Jiggy from, earlier on. But, until when you approach to the forms of, oh my goodness, okay. That was actually kind of a good move right there, because if I mistime my jumps and even trying to able to hit that little flying-like enemy, usually like a dragonfly almost, and basically if I don't hit him, it'll give me a knockback and it'll give me a massive drop. Even especially noticeable is just losing health in the process, so yeah, thankfully that does not seem the case at all, so that's pretty top-notch all things considered, so... Anyways, I think the next objective we can do is by obtaining, I would say, 6 acorns, and we need to able to, obviously obtain all 6 acorns, and then if you do that, and then try to deliver to that squirrel, then basically you would be able to actually just complete that objective. So, yeah, it's not too bad, honestly, aside from the fact that, well, some of them are pretty much just gonna be on these harder to reach places every once in a while, but thankfully though we did manage to obtain that, so nice and fine and dandy and everything. So anyway, let's just go in here and smash that window, and then try to able to obtain the next acorn, which appears to be in this little well, underwater section here. So at least we can able to check in here. And I think we actually got about 1 acorn left. And I think I get the feeling that it's going to be inside the squirrel's house for sure. Even though I did not meant to do that right there, just because I was expecting if I was going to able to save it up for, let's just say, if I exactly obtained 6 acorns, but I somehow managed to able to do the actual, delivering the actual thing quite early, so... But anyways, we got ourselves another caterpillar, and also more musical notes. So I think we've got about 29 musical notes left, and there's the final acorn, and we should probably give the final acorn to the squirrel, and once you've done that, then the Jiggy is obtained. So, and in fact, I can able to instantly grab that, while the dialogue is still present right there, which is kind of surprising, honestly. And I think we're pretty much at the halfway point in terms of Click Clockwood, in terms of Jiggies and everything. So, and it's the final seasonal switch, which we can able to activate that. And this will open up the actual winter season, the final season of the whole entire world. So, yeah, before we get ourselves the next Jiggy onto the actual flower, we do need to deliver, not only trying to deliver the 10 caterpillars to this baby eagle, but also just trying to obtain even more musical notes. So, and I get the feeling that we've only got 21 left. So, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close to the exact, oh, okay, so you just managed to knock me back, huh? Although I'm guessing because we can't be bothered able to get eaten by the eagle, which the only food that he likes is just caterpillars or any kind of species out there. I'm not exactly sure if I've known everything for it comes to eagle related, because I know that pretty much every eagle was actually kind of popular in Australia, which I might be wrong, but either way though, it knows what it is, so... And of course, this will be the last time he will be sleeping throughout, because again, whenever we get into the winter season section, basically he will be woken up and, well, something will happen until whenever we are entering the winter season, of course. So, as far as I'm aware, that we've basically done the actual caterpillar collecting. So because of that though, yeah, there's not much right to home about. So, in fact, I need to change the camera angle to... hopefully trying to able to make it to that leaps of faith for that little flower bit right there to able to obtain a Jiggy from it. But thankfully it's not too far from here, I don't think. So, awesome stuff. And basically we've got 6 Jiggies and only 4 to go. Oh jeez, I forgot about these musical notes on that, you know, that Venus flytrap right there. But again, you have to do this twice, by the way. So I think you have to wait until when he's finishing the actual munching attack. So, yeah, that might be the only advice I can give you for that. So, anyways, that's pretty much about it from there, from the autumn season. But before we get into the forms of the winter season, let's just go ahead and just swim over there. And then try to meet up with the beaver, and while we're at it, is the fact that not only does it able to give us the next Jiggy, which appears to be Jiggy number 7, so even that note, and also the other 2 musical notes from over there too. So, yeah, I believe the rest of the musical notes are going to be on the winter section right now, so, I think there are about 16 left, so, yeah. Awesome stuff. And also that this world were able to contain the final Grand Tilda Switch, and I believe the last Grand Tilda Switch is actually going to be on also in the winter section. So yeah, it doesn't take me that long to able to actually remember everything, so as far as I'm concerned with this specific stuff though. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we're pretty much done with the forms of the autumn season, basically. So, yeah, let's go in and leave. Even though there might be still some Jinjos I've been missing, but tell you what, when we're able to actually done with a lot of like Jiki collecting, along with musical notes, along with the extra honeycomb pieces here and there as well, basically we can able to start looking for those the last 4 Jinjos specifically. So that might be seems the case. So I'm gonna say, I really love the winter aesthetics in this particular world as well, because even though it's kind of similar to Freeze's Peak, but no longer gonna be filled to the brim with those Christmas decorations, so even presents as a result. So, and as you can see, that flower's dead and all that stuff. But before we continue our progression for the sake of time, oh yeah, keep in mind, if we do manage to swim underwater, basically the air meter will start to deplete it doubly amount this time around though. So this means that your air meter might be able to drain a lot faster. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. I think it's kind of similar to the oil from the likes of in Rusty Bucket Bay, except rather than just able to actually just deal with oil and all that stuff. So anyways, let's go ahead and obtain the next extra honeycomb piece, and I think we've only got one more extra honeycomb piece left. And speaking of these extra honeycomb pieces in this world, they're both exactly gonna be on to the winter section basically. So like, we've already found one already from the actual Beaver section, but now we need to find the second one, which appears to be, I would say, in the squirrel's house. So I'm guessing for that circumstances correctly. So, but thankfully, unlike the other season sections, that we no need to worry about the forms of those birds from those holes to able to actually just trying to deal with. But thankfully, also, you get yourselves the actual fly disc, so that way you can able to actually just get a little bit more, well, flying to deal with. So, at least you're able to get that. So, but again, keep that in mind, watch your red feathers count, because every time you flap, then basically you'll lose 1 red feather. And if you're trying to able to do that, like I just did right there, if I was trying to get rid of some of these, you know, these snowman-looking enemies and all that stuff, then basically it also costs the actual red feathers. So, and oh jeez, there's the last Grand Tilda switch over there. But before we activate that, we need to take care of that snowman enemy first. And because of that, though, if you don't deal with him at all, then you're probably gonna get a knockback. But there we go. And I think this will actually be the last Jiggy in not only, well, if we're able to be focusing on this world first, that this might actually be the last Jiggy that we can obtain in the entire game. So because of that though, yeah, we're actually getting really close at this point, folks. Especially, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, and also another thing is the fact that we need to rely on ice physics, so yeah, that might be the only drawback with this, but it knows what it is when it comes to winter-themed kind of worlds to be like this, so... Oh my god, no! Ah, shoot. That's just great. But at least on the upside is though, as I said this before, thankfully there's a red flying disc that you can able to actually just, well, go back on track of yourself. So thankfully that seems to be the case here. So yeah, anyway, let's just go ahead and grab some more musical notes here. And I think we've got 12 left. So yeah, we are getting there. We are getting there. So... Alright, so let's go ahead and deal with this enemy over here, so... Oh, no! Yeah, that's what I mean. That is definitely what I mean. That if I somehow manage to able to go screwed over with this mistimed jumps with that specific enemy placements, then sometimes you give me a knockback, and then obviously I need to go back on to more climbing stuff again. But again, thankfully in this section here, that you do have yourselves a flight disc, so that way you can able to continue your progression, so... Oh jeez, that was kind of my fault, even for trying to able to, like, do a big of a timing to deal with right here, but it knows what it is, so... But let's just skip that for now on, though, just because we'll just go ahead and continue our progression here, and I get the feeling... Ah, dang it. Come on, let me just... Oh, what the heck? Come on, third time, there we go. And I think this is the where, basically, the final extra honeycomb pieces was actually placed. But before we do with all that, I need to probably double check back there. Well, I managed able to get hit by that exact same minute. Well, exactly. Well, it's kind of hard to explain about this sometimes, most of the time, because I know it has been quite a few minutes since I actually did manage to discuss on things. So, but thankfully that we almost nearly at the end. So, oh gosh, that was ultimately very close. Especially, I really refused able to go ahead and slip all over the place. But thankfully, with Talent Trot, managed to able to solve that. So, oh boy, this section can be pretty much tricky, I'm not gonna lie, even when you're trying to deal with the actual, like, navigating for this little narrow paths and all that stuff. And grab the next 4 musical notes here. Come on, thank you. And of course we got ourselves another Mumbo token, but I'm just gonna skip that for now because obviously we still got enough for, you know, just trying to able to actually get ourselves the final transformation. So you know what I mean. And let's double check in here, and it looks like he was sleeping and he was dreaming about, wow, filled to the brim with acorns basically. So I don't think there's anything else in here at the moment. So what's the point of able to go there in the first place though? But yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. And if we go over here, oh look, he's finally grown up. So this means you no need to worry about trying to able to obtain even more caterpillars. So once he was finally fully grown, basically he will able to give you, what else? Another Jiggy as soon as he able to, well, pooped out from his butt. So apparently that's why usually as far as I'm concerned with that. And there we go. And I believe we only got 2 Jiggies left until we're basically done with Click Clockwood. And yeah, everything's all comes together. And here's the final 4 musical notes, which it does requires. Oh no! Oh, I did it too late. I did it too late. But thankfully I'm safe. Whew. That was utterly very close, as I said. But thankfully that I managed able to be on the safe zone. But anyway, I have no idea what I was going to be doing, because I was expecting if I was going to able to just try to make my way to actually, couldn't think about it though. I was expecting if I was going to able to actually use the flying disc to able to actually keep up with our quicker progression for the sake of time. But I might actually save that until whenever we're able to grab the final 2 musical notes. And with that being said, that I do definitely know. Oh, there's a flying disc over there. So okay, never mind. I was expecting if I was gonna able to drop down for a moment, but thankfully the flying disc is nowhere near as far. So yeah. So let's go in here and able to obtain, well, of course we have this enemy over here, which it kind of reminds me like a Robin Hood kind of costume, which I have no idea why it just dresses up like that, but anyway. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, first of all I need to take care of him, and there we go, we've actually obtained every single extra honeycomb pieces. So, despite though we actually grab all 6 of these extra honeycomb pieces, unfortunately our health extension doesn't increase. So I'm pretty sure the maximum you can only get up to is specifically, well, 9. Well, at least if I recall correctly. No, it was actually 8. 8 pieces of health, I'm pretty sure. That, well, it has been a while since I actually played this, so I do apologize for that, so. Anyway, though, so let's go ahead and use this fly disc again, and try to make our way to the highest point for, well, not nearly as high, because we do need to able to require the final transformation in the game, as I said before. But the reason why I'm gonna have to just do this is because, well, I'm gonna have to grab the final 2 musical notes, which, well, thankfully I did manage to make it. So, okay, there's the last one right here. So, there we go. We found every single musical notes in the entire game. So, yeah, pretty awesome and top-notch for my... Oh, jeez! Oh, dang. That must have been painful. even if we're able to get smacked into the actual, like, well, fell through the actual, the honey hive, or the honey hive has been broken during the course of, the winter season, because, compared to other seasons, that's, basically, it's, like, fully built or something, which I have no idea why I'm saying things like that, weirdly enough, but still, you can't really complain about the forms of, oh jeez, that was close. So, but again, we're still missing, some of these Jinjos that we're still missing on, but, if I don't find anything at the moment, then, oh, okay, so Mumbo was not here, because Mumbo was on vacation, so, at least if you ever actually approach into the Mumbo's hut in winter, so, there's not much else in here, aside from that little, this little, honey hive, kind of, I have no idea why. I have no idea why he's saying things like that, because I know he has been. Oh, for crying out loud! Why do I keep on entering back, and then... Okay, never mind. Never mind, we'll just get out to deal with it anyway, so, Anyway, so let's go ahead and, exit out the winter season. Although, gotta think about it, as I said before, that I'm still missing those, Jinjos, along with the last, Jiggy in this world. So, yeah, I'll meet you guys back whenever I do a massive research of where the last, few Jinjos are, so I'll be right back. Okay, I did a massive jump cut right there, because I exactly know where they are, so... I believe the first one I actually did manage to ignore. It was on the winter season, which I totally forgot, because otherwise I wasn't paying attention to the whistle. So because of this though, yeah, something to keep in mind, but that one thing I totally forgot to mention is that obviously you do need to keep your ears open, because otherwise then you do need to hear very carefully with Jinjos is actually like calling for help or whistling. Well, usually sometimes both. So yeah, there's the blue Jinjo that we've now finally obtained. So, yeah, I think we are basically pretty much done with winter season completely. So, but as far as summer season and spring season, well, we wasn't exactly done with those two yet. So, but hopefully we can able to actually just to go there now. So, I think we should probably take care of the summer season first, and then we'll save the spring season for last. Because obviously that we are able to actually not only able to activate the final transformation with Mumble tokens, but also that we need to able to use the last transformation to obtain the final Jiggy in the whole entire game. So yeah, that's the yellow Jinjo, which I accidentally ignored at first glance, but thankfully we did manage to obtain him. So. And now we'll go ahead and get the final Jinjos, or the final two Jinjos, which thankfully they are both on the spring season. So that might be seems the case. So anyway, so let's go ahead and hop onto these little leaf blocks, which they somehow not grown. But thankfully those enemies doesn't respawn. But again, if you somehow die in a level, basically most of these enemies will respawn. So keep that in mind. So anyways, let's go ahead and no, I don't want to hop in there. Oh, whatever. It knows what it is. But anyway, no, let's just go inside the Mumbo's hut for, I would say, the final time for this game. And because of that, though, we need to spend, again, 25 Mumble tokens. And basically, here's the final transformation, which appears to be the Bee Banjo. And what's cool about this transformation is that you can able to fly without need to worry about the feathers and all that stuff, because you are pretty much unlimited when it comes to flying abilities. So, and I think that the Bee Banjo will be useful on, well, multiple things. Like, for instance, as I said, that the next Jiggies, well, obviously we do need to able to go through this honey hive on that hole over there, and basically only Bee Banjo can able to fit through here and able to obtain the pink Jinjo, and now we need to get the last Jinjo in the whole entire game, which was actually on the forms of the Venus Flytrap, which thankfully the Bee Banjo transformation doesn't get that harmless, or doesn't get that much harm when it comes to Venus Flytraps, because as you can tell, the last Jinjo was actually over there. But can I possibly able to... Okay, that's fine, because I accidentally enter in this little door hole over there. And because of that, though, we can able to obtain the last Jinjo, and we got ourselves the 9th Jiggy in this world. And by the way, we're able to actually get ourselves the gamer picture on your profile on the Xbox 360 version, so... And I don't think that'll happen on the N64 version because, well, it's pretty obvious for the sake of... Well, you know what I mean. And the last Jiggy was actually on that Venus flytrap, and you have to be Banjo in order to able to make your way up there, because obviously he might be the only one to do it. So, anyways, let's fly onto this little platform very carefully, not slip things up, and there we go. There's the last Jiggy in Click Clockwork, and yeah, pretty awesome, swell stuff. But we're not exactly done with Banjo just yet, because obviously now we can able to leave the world, because after all we pretty much 100% for everything in terms of, well, Click Clockwork. It's kind of a shame that we're gonna have to leave this world, which to be expected, because I really honestly do enjoy this world. So anyways though, so let's go ahead and fly out of the spring season and head back onto the actual exit pad. This will be the final time we're going to be seeing that, by the way. And because of that, though, it's a good thing we need to keep Banjo, because there's the final Jiggy right on the top there. And because of that, though, we can able to obtain a Jiggy. So, yeah, we are able to finally obtain it. So, fanfare, folks! Yep, fully jump for joy kind of fanfare, which I have no idea why I'm saying things like that, but anyway. So now we've able to actually got all 10 of the Jiggies in Gruntilda's lair, so awesome. So I think we should suffice to say is the fact that we'll go ahead and end things off at this point right here, while transforming back into our normal selves here, and yeah, all things considered done. So yeah, join me tomorrow for more of Let's Play of Banjo-Kazooie. Is that we'll go ahead and hit on to the next part of Gruntilda's Lair, which I think is actually a quiz, the quiz trivia kind of section, and we'll hopefully save Banjo's sister Tootie. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.